All right, buckle up, folks, because today's deep dive is taking us straight into the heart of the DC rumor mill. Bane, Deathstroke. Together, you guys sent in the request, and we are ready to unpack this.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about a potential Bane and Deathstroke movie, people. Saw those headlines, and let me tell you, even I did a double take. We've got articles here from comicbookmovie.com, Consequence, both saying the same thing. This thing might actually be happening, but is that a good thing?
Good question.
That's what we're here to figure out. Now, we've seen both these guys on the big screen before, solo missions, cameos, but together, this ain't your typical superhero sequel.
No.
This is different. So before we even get to the WHY of it all, I think we need a little refresher.
Yeah, for sure.
For anyone out there who's maybe a little fuzzy on their Batman villains, who are these guys, really? And what makes them so damn interesting, even individually?
Well, you got to start by recognizing we're talking about two completely different flavors of villain, right? You've got Bane on one hand, the epitome of brute force, the strategic mastermind. This is the dude who literally broke the bat.
Oof, yeah. Don't think Batman's forgotten that one.
Yeah, probably not, no. And then you've got Deathstroke, the master assassin, all precision and cold calculation. Military mind, strategic genius. If Bane's a sledgehammer to a problem, Deathstroke is like a scalpel.
Ooh, okay, I like that analogy.
So just thinking about them going head to head.
Oh, man.
Never mind actually teaming up. It's going to be a wild ride, that's all I'm saying.
Wild is a good word for it.
Yeah.
Speaking of wild, took a peek into the comment sections over at Comic Book Movie, and let me tell you, people have thoughts. A lot of villain fatigue going around, it seems. Like, we just had the Batman, the Penguin series is amazing. Joker 2 is on the way.
Yeah.
It's a lot, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like, is DC leaning a little too hard on this whole Batman villain thing? I don't know.
Like, are we going to get sick of this flavor before we even get to the good stuff? It's a valid concern.
It is. And you got to wonder, too, if this is maybe a reaction in some ways to the success of Joker.
Interesting. How so?
Well, Joker wasn't your typical, hero versus villain kind of movie, right?
Yeah.
It was character-driven, went deep into the psychology of this guy, the shades of gray.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe studios saw that and were like, oh, okay, audiences are down for this. They want complexity, moral ambiguity, even in their bad guys.
So could this Bane Deathstroke thing be DC's attempt at that? Like, hold my drink, we can do complex villains too?
Could be. And honestly, the potential is there. You play up those differences between them, that clash of styles, because let's be real, Bane with his whole flair for the dramatic, trying to work alongside Mr. Efficiency over here, Deathstroke.
Oh, the arguments.
Right.
The planning sessions alone would be comedy gold.
Exactly. Just imagine the eye rolls.
And then you toss in the rumor that Dave Bautista's been eyeing the role of Bane for years now.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly, this whole thing gets real interesting.
For sure.
Bautista as Bane. Now, that's some serious muscle, both on screen and at the box office, I'm thinking.
No argument there.
And it gets even more interesting when you remember we've got that other big DC movie coming up, The Brave and the Bold. New Batman, whole new dynamic, the whole shebang.
Right, right.
And not just any Batman. We're talking Damian Wayne. A Kaluka, the kind of kid who makes even Bruce Wayne break a sweat.
Yeah, bit of an understatement there. Remember that gun quote? Called him a little son of a bitch. A little murderer.
Yeah, not exactly the most well-adjusted Robin in the Bat family.
Not exactly.
So now everyone's wondering, is this connected, this Bane Deathstroke thing? Does it tie into the whole Brave and the Bold world?
Yeah, the articles are pretty vague on that, aren't they?
Painfully so. Come on, throw us a bone here, DC. Prequel. Spin-off. Totally unrelated. Who knows?
Guess that's how they keep us hooked, huh? The mystery box approach to movie announcements.
Works every time. But okay, let's say, hypothetically speaking, it is connected. What then?
What then, indeed?
I mean, with Damian as Batman already kind of teetering on that edge, what kind of story does that even set up? What kind of villains can challenge a Batman who's already got that darkness in him?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Because if we're talking about a Batman who's more willing to cross those lines, more brutal, you're gonna need villains who can match that intensity.
Exactly. This can't be some Riddler-level threat, right? You need heavy hitters.
Oh, yeah. You need Bane, who can go toe-to-toe with Batman physically, who isn't afraid to get down and dirty.
And then you need Deathstroke, who's playing 3D chess while everyone else is stuck on checkers.
Exactly. Strategic minds. Both of them, but in completely different ways. And when you add in that Damian factor, that darkness, it gets really interesting thematically speaking.
Oh, yeah, totally. Because suddenly, It's not just about good versus evil, right? It's about those blurred lines, the duality of it all.
Exactly. And that's where you can really dig into those morally gray areas, explore what happens when the line between hero and villain gets really, really thin.
Like, Damien's already one bad day away from becoming the very thing he's fighting against.
Right. And then you put him up against these two who embody those extremes. It's like holding up a funhouse mirror to him, to his own potential darkness.
Ooh, I like that. So it's not just about beating the bad guys. It's about Damien confronting those parts of himself.
Exactly. And that, my friend, is how you elevate a superhero movie from, fun action flick to something truly compelling.
No arguments here. Plus, can we talk about the visuals for a second?
Yeah.
Because Bane and Deathstroke on screen together, the fight choreography alone.
Don't even get me started.
Someone over on Comic Book Movie, they suggested Timo Tchajanko as director. The Night Comes for Us.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I gotta say, it's inspired casting.
Yeah.
That gritty, brutal style. Perfect fit.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the action. It's about how he uses action to tell the story, to reveal character. Imagine those fight scenes. Bane's raw power versus Deathstroke's precision.
Goosebumps, man. Goosebumps.
It would be legendary.
Okay, but let's reel it back in for a sec. Hypotheticals are fun and all, but what do we actually know based on these articles and on comic book history? Because this isn't the first time Bane and Deathstroke have teamed up, is it? They haven't exactly been the best of buds in those comics, though, have they?
Complicated is more like it. Meaning their personalities, their whole approach to, let's call it conflict resolution, hasn't always gone so smoothly.
Which, let's be real, is kind of what makes this whole movie idea so juicy.
Mm-hmm.
You got Bane, loves the grand scheme, the theatrics, right?
Yeah.
And then there's Deathstroke. Get in, get out, leave no trace.
Yeah.
Could you imagine those two trying to plan a grocery list, let alone take down the Bat?
Right, the arguments alone.
The scheduling conflicts.
But that's the thing, right? That inherent tension, the clash of styles, that's where the good stuff lives. That's what will make or break this movie, I think.
Totally. Especially if they're going for that darker, grittier vibe. Because if Damian Wayne's already, one bad day away from snapping, throwing Bane and Deathstroke into the mix, talk about a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Or a masterpiece, who knows?
Right. It's a gamble, that's for sure. And we're still early days. Gotta remember that.
True. No director, no confirmed cast.
Lot can change between now and a finished film.
So, bottom line for our listeners, hopes up or tempering expectations?
I'm cautiously optimistic, I'd say. The fact that we're even having this conversation, that DC's willing to explore these darker corners of the Bat mythos, that's exciting.
It means they're taking risks, trying new things.
Exactly. And even if it blows up in their faces, hey, at least they're trying.
That's what I always say. Go big or go home.
Right.
Well, on that note, folks, we've reached the end of another deep dive. Big thanks to our expert for breaking down this whole Bane Deathstroke thing.
Anytime. Always happy to talk shop.
Now, we want to hear from you. Is this movie a good idea? Terrible idea? Who should direct? Who should play who? Hit us up on social media. Let us know all your thoughts. And until next time, keep those requests coming. And remember, sometimes the most interesting stories come from the darkest corners of the imagination.